Naysayers were saying, let the free market handle this, the government doesn't need to be involved in a bailout, you know, President Obama doesn't need to become the CEO of General Motors, and all of those, you know, kind of political sound bites. Honda called me. We all know Honda, located in Marysville, Ohio, produces cars and engines. The largest Honda engine plant in the world, I believe, is here in Ohio. So the officials at Honda called me on a weekend, and they asked if they could come and see me. And they came to the governor's residence on a weekend night, a Sunday evening, after dark. We sat around the dining room table, about 6 or so of them were there. And they said, Governor, we don't normally advocate for our competitors, but we are here to urge you to do everything you can do to see that help is provided to Detroit and the Big Three. Because our suppliers, at least 80% of our suppliers, also supply the Big Three. And the supply chain is very fragile. The profit margins are very thin. We fear that this supply chain could collapse, and if that happens, it's going to be damaging to all of us, not just the Big Three. A lot of people don't understand the complexity of the economy, and especially of that particular part of our economy. But General Motors, I believe, has paid back what they got with interest. And we now have an American automotive industry that is growing and becoming profitable. So a lot of things were done. They gave us money for education. They gave us money for Medicaid. Ohio, I don't know the exact number. I think it's well over, at this point, $3 billion in American Recovery Reinvestment Act funds that we had received. In Medicaid funds, what does Medicaid do? Provides health care to poor kids who are in need of health care. It provides assistance to disabled Ohioans. It helps care for senior citizens who are in nursing homes or in need of in-home care. Vital services to the most vulnerable people in our state. That's what Medicaid does. We are building roads and bridges in Ohio this construction season. Our Ohio Department of Transportation is having the most robust construction season ever in the history of Ohio. Over $2 billion in construction is underway in Ohio right now, about a third more than ever in the past. Jobs are being created as a result. We're seeing other investments being made in wind and solar power, growth areas of our economy. So I'm here to talk about the Democratic philosophy, in part, because I believe that government has a positive role to play in the lives of the people. Now, we don't want a government that's bigger than it ought to be. We don't want taxes higher than they need to be. But I understand, and I believe we all understand as Democrats, that collectively we can do things that as individuals we can never accomplish. There are those out there today that seem not to believe in the collective response of people. You know, they're stressing this you're on your own kind of philosophy. And that's being reflected here in Ohio across any number of political races, but I want to talk specifically about the governor's race. You heard some of the things that we've accomplished in Ohio since I've been governor. It's been a tough time. I didn't cause the recession. I'm not that powerful, folks. This is the national recession, and even if I had purposefully set out to cause the recession, I don't think I could have done it. So I'm not responsible for the recession, and I don't say that to evade responsibility, because I am responsible as governor to deal with the effects of the recession. And I own that responsibility. I own the decisions that I've made during these difficult times. But I think I made some pretty good decisions with help from some of my legislative friends and a whole lot of support from the people. We have invested in education. We were the only state in America to freeze college tuition for 2 years. And going forward, tuition will increase no more than 3.5% per year. Now, why was that especially important in Ohio? It was important because before I became governor, Ohio had experienced 10 straight years of tuition increases, which averaged 9% a year for 10 straight years. And it was becoming impossible for many of our working class kids to even consider college education. So we froze tuition. We're doing more, I believe, than perhaps any other state to constrain the cost of college tuition. We've tried to bring some rationality to our higher education system. We created the university system of Ohio. Our chancellor has developed a 10-year strategic plan for higher education. Our universities and colleges, technical schools are working together as never before. And last year we had over 65,000 more students enrolled in our public colleges and universities than we had when I became governor just less than 4 years ago. K through 12 education. It has been an albatross around our neck. We did face years of a Supreme Court decision saying that we had an unconstitutional system. Everybody agreed that it was unconstitutional, but many people thought there's no sense trying to do anything about it. We did something about it. Now, it's not a perfect solution yet, but we're on our way. We developed an evidence-based approach to funding decisions. We're expecting school districts to obligate themselves to a certain level of millage. That will differ in terms of the amount of money it brings in, depending upon the wealth of that district. But that gets to one of the things the Supreme Court said was wrong with our system. The disparity in wealth led to disparity in funding and unfairness. And the Supreme Court never said we had to get rid of the property tax as part of the solution, but it was the over-reliance on the local property tax. When I became governor, the state was providing about 42% of the total cost of K through 12 education. 48%. It's now about 52%. When our evidence-based program is fully phased in, it's going to take us another 8 years or so. It was a 10-year plan. We will have assumed about a 61 to 62% at the state level. We have strengthened teacher training. We have increased the amount of time it takes to achieve tenure from 3 years to 7 years. I don't know of another state that has such a standard. We've developed levels of teacher licensure. From a resident level, every new teacher in Ohio now must go through a 4-year residency program. And if they complete that successfully, then they'll get their professional teaching license. And then we have 2 other levels, all the way up to lead teacher. I want good teachers to be able to stay in the classroom and not have to become a principal or a superintendent or something to show growth in their chosen profession.